Alright guys, so I decided to make a video on how to read, well it's going to be a whole series on how to do some basic modifications to vehicles, and we're going to start with just a basic introduction to the EBX. So I'm going to include the EBX in the description and in other places on our Discord. This is the website for the webex.powback.com, and then we have the repository that you can also clone, which is from the Venice Unleashed. And basically, this is a huge dump of text, and it contains all the game files. And you can see here, like these are the vehicles, for instance, and if we want to modify the BMP, we just search for the BMP and we open up the bmp2.txt, and this is everything inside the BMP2. It even contains all these files on the outside. They're just all contained in here. They all end up meeting up in here. And so I know this might seem like a lot of stuff, but it is. It's a lot of stuff. But for instance, if we want to modify one of the cameras on the BMP2, and the camera is just like the what the player sees when he's in seat 1, seat 2, seat 3, you know, whatever. Also, depending on what weapon he has. So if he's the gunner, he should have AP, HE, or coax, sorry. They should all be the same camera. The driver should have his own camera. There should be no HUD in this case. So all we do here is we search for camera component data, and we can see it's here. But as you can see, there's probably a bunch of them here. Yeah, there's 16 cameras, and they're probably all not being used. And keep in mind, there's a bunch of dismounts as well. So yeah, so there's that. Another thing I wanted to explain is, I should have hit this first, but I'll say it now. Each of these files have a partition. What's a partition? A partition is just a pointer here. So this is the partition for the bmp2.txt. So this number right here represents this entire file. And then everything else, that every other number or every GUID, these are called GUIDs. Every other spot that you see a GUID is what we call an instance. So we're inside the bmp2.txt partition right here, and so we want to say, okay, now we want to find the camera component, and this is the instance, and so this is what we'll need to modify the vehicle, and we'll do the coding part after, but this is just kind of the introduction, of course. So just know that there's partitions for each file. Each file has a partition, and then there's instances within the partition. Next, I want to show you real quickly the POWback version of the EBX, and we use this too to modify vehicles. So this is a way of looking things up by GUID. You can search, obviously, with Visual Studio Code. You can go here and search in whatever you want, whatever GUID you want. The downside of this, you can't search like that. So how we use this is, so if we want to modify the BMP, we go to, if I can find it, the vehicles, BMP2, and instead of this file structure says bmp2.txt, these are in JSON formats, okay? So they're just formatted differently. So I open up the wrong one, but you can see the bmp2.json is here, and we open this up. Okay, so now we're in this partition, just like we are on this one, same partition, and this is in this case, the vehicle blueprint. So if we copy this in here, I know I missed an A. We'll see this is the vehicle blueprint part instance here. Same thing. It's just looks different. Okay, so now how we read this is I like to call this method the door concept. So each of these, so we just entered the front door of the bmp2.json by clicking on it. Okay, so we just entered the front entrance of the bmp2.json. Now we can open up this door. This is another door. This is called the vehicle entity data. When you click on that, you're going to have a whole lot of other stuff here. So this basically contains everything in the vehicle. The vehicle entity is the entity itself. It contains everything about the vehicle. So now we open up that door. So there's another thing called components. And these are more doors. But basically all these are kind of not important for us if we want to modify our vehicle. So we just want to go into the vehicle component data, and this is pretty much where everything is at that we're going to modify. So we just went into the vehicle component door. So now if I want to, let's say I open up the vehicle config data, and I can see, I can start seeing some things we can modify. Like for instance the gearbox config. We can start making the vehicle faster. And like I said, the next video will be how to code that. But that's just kind of an introduction to the EBX. So I just want to run that by one more time. So let's open up the bmp2.json. Let's minimize this. You can also minimize these, which is very nice. So we'll go to bmp2.json, and let's say I want to modify the health. I know where it's at in this case. So I click on vehicle entity, and right off the bat we can see rear health zone, left, front, and rear. And you can modify each of these. This is the upside down damage, the amount of damage it takes when it's upside down. Yeah. So that's pretty much all I want to cover in the first video. Yeah. Thanks.